Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's Tuesday in the NBA. We did have to miss a day on that big MLK slate for you guys, but we're back with 4 games to play on Tuesday night. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Got another game video up for you and our player props as we're doing each and every weekday this season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of our great written content up there and use that odds finder tool that we're using every day here to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those U.S. sportsbooks offering you guys bets this season. Nate, let's get into this 4-game slate and then talk about our game. The 76ers are in LA playing the Clips.
Yeah, and that'll be the nightcap, a standalone there game to watch. But it opens with the Raptors +6 at the Bucks. Both teams are on a back-to-back. Raptors won in OT over your Knicks here on MLK Day, and Giannis sat for the Bucks. So we'll have to wait on the injury report for that one before we read anything into it, really. The Nets forging on without KD, -6 at the Spurs. Totals at 235 there. That's something we're looking at for player props. Then the other game we look at, Blazers are +7.5 at Denver. Totals at 233, fourth and final meeting of those division rivals. And then it's a pick'em right now. Sixers at Clippers, even money. Either way you want to slice it, and I think we both like the Sixers. I mean, the Clippers, I asked you, like, are they winning games now? Is that something they're into? I mean, they are back home now, and they've won 2 of their last 3, but it was against a Mavs team that we know what they do on the road, and that just didn't show up. Their three-pointer did not show up. And then against Houston, the worst team in the West. Not competitive against Denver, even without Joker. You were all over that. I was like, oh, man, Joker is actually out. We thought he was definitely going to play. And you were like, double down. Because the Clippers are the worst offense in the league at home. I mean, and this is the NBA. This is the NBA where points are flowing, especially a team like the 76ers, which has been all offense and, terrible defense in the backcourt when you pair Maxey and Harden. But does that matter against the Clippers, who just put Terrence Mann into the starting lineup? Are going, took Reggie Jackson out of the rotation pretty much, and they're going even more wing heavy now. And that's something the Sixers actually can defend with Tobias Harris, with Tybal off the bench if they want to throw him at either of these guys. We don't know if Paul George is going to play. That would help inject some life into this Clippers offense. But in the last meeting between these teams, he had 22 points on less than 40% field goal shooting, was a -16. As the Clippers just pulled away in the second half. Harden now in 2 appearances with the Sixers against the Clips. Huge lines, basically flirting with a triple-double the first time, and then 20 points and 21 assists with a triple-double in that other meeting I'm talking about. Embiid also has had his way against Zubac. So, I mean, those 2 guys are, we know what they bring to the table. Just an unstoppable pick-and-roll combination, and I mean, Maxey kind of adds a different dynamic in terms of the Sixers don't just have to slow it down and score in the half court. They can push with this guy. And I just don't really know what you look at for the Clippers outside of Kawhi Leonard still being an absolute bucket and say, like, this is a something to be scared of about their offense. I mean, and Kawhi, while his offense has rounded back into form, is not the same defender either. And it's evident. I mean, one of those Harden lines is against a Kawhi-less, PG-less team, but, with them back out there on December 23rd, giving up 21 assists to a guy like James Harden, who we saw the Raptors and the Heat erase from the floor like several months prior. I mean, that tells you where the Clippers are at in terms of being that kind of defensive juggernaut that we thought that's why some people were thinking that they were a championship favorite coming into the season, is that they had such good wing defense, and it's just not there. Obviously, they haven't had an answer for Embiid. I mean, nobody really does. And the only thing to worry about here is the Sixers being 3rd game in a 5-game road trip. However, it's a back-to-back in LA, or I mean, they had an off day here, and so there's no travel involved. Embiid's props are already up here at 31.5 points. I'm definitely expecting him to top 30. and the Clippers to win, and would look at the 35 plus in a win at plus 350 for Mr. Embiid after he dropped 44 on them a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think he's happy to play against Ivica, Chamberlain, Zubac as well as a lot of these really solid offensive centers are right now. Including the Joker, who also didn't even really have to have his way with them the first time they played because no one played in the second half for the Clips. He sat out this last game. Zeke Naji came in, played fine, and everybody else as well around him. So in the post, where the Clippers have been really, really bad, that's a quick starting point as well. I mean, you talk about Embiid, 31.5 points. The Clips over the course of their last 9 games, where we know they lost 6 in a row at one point there, 29th in terms of allowing points in the paint, 29th in scoring points in the paint. So you can just own them down there. And if you have the best, let's say, best center on both sides of the ball in the league in Joel Embiid, when you combine his offense and defense and just his sort of presence there, which is terrifying. I know Joker's been good. I really don't want to get into that. I didn't mean to fall into a trap, but Joel, top 3, top 2 center in the league no matter what, and he's going to do his thing as he has been as of late. The thing that is holding me up, and I kind of started to consider it a bit more as the show was kicking off and you were reading these lines, Nate, and I was like, wait, if Paul George does play, what does that do to this? Because he could play, and it's just frustrating with his injury, because his injury is that hamstring. It's not some random Kawhi thing that, while it's frustrating, we're just kind of like, no one's trying to figure out what's going on with Kawhi anymore. We should probably do the same thing with PG. You just don't know when the hammy is going to act up. It's one of those weird things. So if he is back, I don't know what the level of continuity would be, and I would probably just feel better about an over than anything in this game at like 225, 226. If Paul George is in there, I do think that there's a little bit more offense to be had. But because there haven't been that many games that both these guys are playing at home together to help raise the level of that worst offense in the league at home in terms of 105.5 points a game, and we know what they do there. We've been talking about it every time we bring them up. Third worst field goal percentage in the league from there. At home, they're dead last in points in the paint, which is basically what they are all the time, 29th. So, yeah, I think this one, the only thing that scares you is Paul George playing. Even if he does, I still think at even money for Philly, you're still in a good spot because of what they've been since Tyrese Maxey came back. I don't know if he's helping in this regard, but the fact that they have been 12th in rebounding since he came back, it's just the last 7 games, which is since he came back, that it's crucial for them because they've been 27th on the season, which is why they've been giving up a ton of second chance points to their opponent, and all those all those points in transition, as well as they just give up. They don't get offensive rebounds, and then teams go and they're susceptible to fast break points as well. But if they're getting those rebounds, that covers up all of those issues for them, and really it's about the offense for them at that point. You might consider even looking at what their over is in this one. If the total is 226, right, like over 113, I would say that's fair. I think if you get to about 115, 116 in this game, sans overtime, then you're probably looking at being the victor there. I do see that this being a pretty close game with in the mid-teens or so. So I think that does speak to an over a little bit more, especially like I said with Tyrese Maxey in there. 7th in 3-pointers made, which is huge for them as well. 6-1 to the over since he's been back. 4th offensive rating, scoring 122.5 a game. So 5th in assists, which they already were, but James Harden goes from like 11 assists a game to 14 because he's got Tyrese Maxey, another shooter on the wing, and someone he knows he can score as soon as he gives it to them. So I'm not really going to touch the total in this one. I'm still just going to feel good right now at even money with Paul George hanging in the balance, because it's a situation where I still like the 76ers to be able to win this one on the road if he's playing, and without him, I definitely like them at even money. I might as well just get ahead of it a little bit before he's even announced exactly if he's going to play or not.
Yeah, you're not touching the over because the Clippers are still 19-4 to the under at home, because again, they don't score very much, 105 points per game, and while the Sixers have gone over in 11 of their last 13 overall, one of those unders is holding OKC to 96 points, and frankly, the Kawhi Clippers are pretty similar to the SGA Thunder right now in terms of just one guy trying to score unassisted field goals. I don't really know what else to say about their offense other than I'm just not impressed with it. I am impressed with Harden and finding his stride here since coming back from his injury. I mean, he's got double-digit assists in 6 straight road games. Really led that offense when they outscored the Clippers by 17 in the second half to pull away there. And I think they'll just be a better team down the stretch. Another thing, though, to worry about the total is that the Sixers seem like they're really pacing themselves on this road trip, and that both of their first two games, 96 pace, got to 235 with the Jazz, but then go under with the Lakers, and holding it down to a 96 pace against the Lakers is definitely something that raises eyebrows, right? And then if you're going against the Clippers, who are probably okay playing that type of half-court game if you want to play that way. Maybe we do see an under here even if Paul George is active, because like I said, he didn't really have a great game against the Sixers. We don't know how good his hamstring will be. And he does seem to help the Clippers defense more than their offense in the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That their defensive rating is way better with him in there. Unsurprisingly, it's like a doubling down on a superior force already with Kawhi out there. But yeah, the only reason I like points just because of the way that this team plays, the 76ers specifically, with Tyrese Maxey out there, that 119 and a half offensive rating, even at like a 96, 97 pace, still gets you close to about 120, 122 like they've been scoring. But obviously they haven't been playing the Clippers, who are also the best defense in the league at home right now. So the points maybe not, but like I said, my play in this one is I'm hitting this, before I know what's happening with Paul George. And then let's see what happens to that spread when he gets put in the game, and maybe you get even a little bit more value on the 76ers at that point. So that is all the time we have for you in this one, though. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out our other game video and the player props we have up for you today. And until we see you next, happy betting.